Hi, Karen. It's so wonderful to see you with your gorgeous backdrop. Listeners, I wish you could see this amazing painting. Also, Kermit the Frog and the Cookie Monster are flanking Karen on her right side.
Katie, it is always wonderful to see you. Welcome from my evolving new Zoom backdrop, which has some elements of my old one. Kermit and Cookie Monster were always in my old backdrop, but you couldn't really see them. So,
Oh, wow. I love that they're up front. I love that
yeah,
they're very obvious to see and that your shelving unit is getting populated and it looks great. And also, I'm just noticing this curtain to your left. That looks nice.
thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I have been calling this room Beauty and the Beast because this is the beauty part, and then the beast are the unpacked, I don't know, 15 to 25 unpacked boxes just off screen.
Nice. Well, you'd never know. And it also kind of looks like you've lived there for years. So it's also like that propped up painting, kind of a cool spot for it. Listeners, it's propped up on the back of Karen's couch. I'm into it.
I'm into it too. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I hang it
Yeah,
or
right?
just, yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. Okay, so how are you, Karen? How is this minute going for you?
This exact instant. It is good. Had a roller coaster of a week already. Happy Pride Month.
Yes, happy Pride Month.
I have had a challenging week, but then two colleagues and I had a conversation about Pride. So the 19th, my day job, we have two LGBTQ plus reporters, and I talked them into having a conversation about coverage and Pride, and it was really great. And it published yesterday, and the reception's been really good to it. So that has been a high of this week, was being able to publish that and like, yeah, have that conversation. It felt like group therapy.
That's fantastic. And so published, like it was like a Zoom conversation that you then published on the 19th. Is that what it was?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we got an otter transcript, and Kate, thank you, Kate, cleaned it up. It was the transcript was 7,000 words
Oh,
because we talked
wow.
for her, yeah, almost an hour, and Kate condensed it down to 2,000 vaguely cohesive words, and yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to text you after this to like put this in the show notes because I would love to see that. That would be really, really cool. And so it's you and two other reporters. Like, are you moderating the conversation?
No, they just included me. Like I was just gonna have it between the two of them, and they were like, no, you have to be in it too. So it was just the three of us talking.
That's so awesome. Oh my gosh. What were some of the takeaways that if you want to talk about it?
Oh, sure. I feel like one of the things I feel like we talked about the most that ended up in the final piece was allyship and how people can show up as allies and what that means at a time when so many LGBTQ rights are under attack. And like, I mean, Kate and Orion are both trans and both used the word genocide in relation to trans people and legislative rights in this country. Like, how do you show up as an ally when it isn't just about like kind of this nebulous like notion of LGBTQ people having rights, and it's more about like, oh, they want to eradicate trans kids and
Yeah.
oh, they want to keep trans people out of all sports, and it's, yeah, it's a scary time, and it was about it being a scary time and how to cope with that, but then also how to be supportive of people in the community.
That's so awesome. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to watch this and read it. Like that's so fantastic.
It's just
Wow.
a transcript. Yes.
Oh, it's
Luckily,
just the
there's no
transcript.
video. Yeah, we didn't include the video. Oh my God, because we're ridiculous.
Well, still, just the transcript, not just. That sounds amazing.
Yes. Thank
Oh,
you.
thanks for mentioning that. That's really cool. Are there Pride events in Indy that you and MLB do you know about, or do you know what's happening in Indy?
Yes. I'm laughing because it's Indiana, right? I God love them. Indianapolis does have a lot of pride events. They have a big pride celebration. I believe it's the Saturday. It's like 11 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay.
It's in a park. It costs money to go to, which is different than Chicago Pride, of course, because you just
Oh,
show up.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, and also very suspicious of it at the same
Okay.
time.
Okay. I mean, some like you are from Chicago going into, I was going to say rural Indiana, but I know that's not actually rural Indiana. It's just Indiana, in a city. Yeah, I'm sure that you've seen incredible pride events, and yeah, just I hope this one is great. The fact that it's pay though is a little bummer. That's yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it
It's
was $10 a piece. It was not like an exorbitant amount of money, but still.
yeah, but still. I mean, it's like, to include everyone, that would be nice to have it be free. But it's this weekend, so it's like the 10th.
Yes. And I will say we bought the tickets that you pay a little extra and then they make tickets available to the community, quote unquote, for free,
Nice.
whatever that means. So
Okay, that's
I don't,
nice.
yeah, I just paid extra. I don't really know if it's going to actually do anything.
That's great. I hope it does. I hope a lot of people get in because of your generosity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, totally. So, so I told you this off pod, but I'm having a little bit of a clenching sitch with
Ugh.
my teeth. Um it's just weird. It's like I've gone through these different phases of like grinding my teeth at night when I was in college, which totally makes sense because it was a stressful time and finals and midterms and blah blah blah. I never really liked school that much. So that's understandable. Had a bite guard. Now it's like all the time and I wake up with my teeth sore and sometimes during the day I'm like, why do I have a headache? And then I'm it's like, oh, I've been clenching for 2 hours and I don't even know it. Like I wish there was like a little alarm in my brain that was like, oh, Katie, nope, nope, nope. Relax, relax. Like you're clenching right now. It's just like, yeah, it's all right. Just a thing. Do you ever clench your teeth?
It's so scary. I think I've gone through periods where I did.
Yeah.
I'm not right now, but I mean, I have so many other weird stress related things. But yeah, it sounds so painful. I hate that you're going through this.
It's just like I grab my teeth sometimes and I'm like, that's weird. Like, yeah, listeners can't see this, but like, it's just, it sounded weird, as weird as it looks, but like, it's all right. The Tylenol will kick in. Thank goodness for pain meds. So it's all good. But I'm really glad, Karen, that you were open to having this conversation. Listeners, full disclosure, we have not had any pre-talk about this at all. And yeah, I just mentioned to you that fear, just the word fear, would be great to talk about today. It's on the top of my mind.
Oh my God. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so walk us through why this is top of mind for you.
Okay. So the reason why it's top of mind for me is because I know on the pod last week I talked about this rock climbing trip that I had planned and that did happen over the weekend. Um so yeah, I don't think I acknowledged leading up to this trip, I did not acknowledge like how scared I actually was. And it's an interesting thing cuz like I will say that I'm realizing that I don't necessarily like this is like out of this is like not even in the comfort zone scared like out of the comfort zone but like beyond out of the comfort zone. That's like this was like like that's why I say fear. I guess fear in this context is basically like I didn't think I was going to die or like someone was going to hurt me. Even though falling off a cliff when you're rock climbing it did enter my mind, obviously. But like I trusted the organization that I was going with and they were really, really cool. And I knew they were going to be cool because they have a lot of great reviews and people I know have gone with them. But like Karen, I was so scared. I was so scared. And like I don't even know if I can like articulate exactly why, but like I just felt like, okay, I think I do know why. I felt like a complete imposter. Like
Mhm.
full on this, like, who the hell am I to be doing this? That's why I was so scared. And so I didn't know this when I recorded the pod with you a week ago. It was like, oh, this thing. Oh, it's so interesting. I'm going, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be so much fun. So I didn't really reach the height of fear until the day before I was going to go. And I went to REI. And so I went to REI because my sister Christy told me to get one of these like jugs of water. Well, it's a jug that's a reusable that you put water in. Because I had told her, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to go to Safeway, the grocery store, and get like a bunch of water jugs because there is no water at this campsite. Like you have to bring everything, like all of your food, all of your water, literally everything. They do have a toilet. That's it. And she was like, Katie, why don't you just go to REI and get the 6 gallon jug? It's just reusable. You can use it on future camping trips. And I was like, great. So I get to REI and I'm running around doing other, chores and that kind of stuff. And this is just one of my stops. And I walk in, and the camping section at the REI in Bend is like twice the size of my house.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I can only imagine.
Oh my God. Because I live in like outdoors, like people are aggressively outdoorsy in Bend. Like it's like if you think of like Boulder, Colorado, or like some place like that where people like people are going to be outdoorsy, that's the same in Bend. And so like I just felt like I walk in and I see this for what I think looks like a jug. I walk up to this woman who is conservatively 78 years old, who works there and is jacked. Like she seriously looks like, I mean, you can tell a little that she's older, but like she looks so fucking fit. And I look at her and I'm like, wow, hi. And she's like, hi. And I was like, is this a jug that you use for water, like for camping? And she's like, yeah, if you want to pay $80. And I was like, oh, okay. And she wasn't mean, but like that's how I took it. And she's like, do you want to pay $20? Like that there are other ones. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. And I just felt like a idiot. Like I was just like, what am I doing here? And so she brings down the other jug, and then I ask her about all this dehydrated food because that's a thing. Apparently, you eh, you get all this food in these packets, and then you just pour water in the actual packet. Anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. But like that, and then you eat it. I don't know. It's apparently supposed to be really, really good. So I'm asking her all of these like ridiculous questions, and I get on, which I think are ridiculous, even though they're not really ridiculous in retrospect. And I get in the car and I have a full-blown meltdown. Like
Oh.
ugly crying meltdown with Christy on the phone. And thank God I was talking to her, because she is this like, I mean, this trip would be like, it wouldn't even register for her, frankly. Like she is such an extreme sports person and like camps constantly that like this is nothing. And so, but she's very empathetic, thank God. And so I was just like, who am I to be walking fucking into REI wearing cashmere? No one wears cashmere walking into
Stop it.
REI.
Oh my God. Why do I have this image of you as like Cruella DeVille rolling into REI? Katie, I'm sure you looked gorgeous. Stop
Oh
it.
my God. It was like a little chilly, so I wore a sweater. But the sweater happened to be cashmere that I got at a consignment store. But I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? This woman she probably thought I wanted to buy the $80 jug. This is just in my head. I think I just like, I built this up. This doesn't sound like, I don't know. As I'm talking, I'm like, this doesn't sound scary at all, Katie. I'm like, yes, it was. It was scary. Like, I have to just validate my own experience. And so,
Yes.
anyway, so I'm telling Christy, and I was like, who the fuck wears cashmere and who goes camping with a bunch of randos? All of these women are going to be completely jacked. They're going to know all of like the vernacular of what to say about rock climbing and camping. And I was like, I don't know anything. And I'm a total fraud. And blah, blah. I'm not actually crying, people. I'm just like pretending to cry, which sounds worse. Anyway, and so like, that's where I was at. It was rough.
Ooh. I mean, it's really intimidating.
Yeah, it really
It
is.
is. REI is intimidating. Camping, rock climbing, this whole thing. Of course you were freaked out. Like, yeah, it's super scary.
It's so scary. And I also think that like there's a lot, and I don't talk about this a ton, but like there's a lot of like processing that my body is still very much doing from the surgery, that like to be away from Tyler, to be away from like my safe spaces where I know that I have my stuff. Like it's like I know I'm healthy and able-bodied, but at the same time like it's like I don't know for sure like what could happen. And yeah, it is scary. So then the next day, Tyler drops me off at the campsite. So fast forward 24 hours. And he drops me off. And one of the things that I was ugly crying to Christy about was the fact that I had a 6-person tent. And they explicitly said in the instructions for this weekend, please don't bring 6-person tents, because like bring smaller tents like for backpacking. Okay, so a backpacking tent, for those who don't know, which includes me until 2 days ago, is a tent that basically looks like, I don't know, it's tiny. It's like it looks like a sifter that you like sift, like beans out of, but a
What?
little bigger than that. Like it's just like, and then you turn it over and it's on the ground. Horrible metaphor, but basically it's just like this little mound off the ground. Like how do you even fit a person in there? I have no idea. It's fucking tiny. And so like the point is that you can hardly I mean, you can hardly feel it when you carry it because you're get backpacking, blah blah blah. Well, this isn't backpacking. This is car camping, even though I don't have a car, and so Tyler has to drop me off, and I tell him I need your help putting together this behemoth of a tent, which I do really. And so he's helping me, and I look like a fucking tool in my mind because I'm the only person who has their partner who's also male, and no one there is male that is like helping them. And I'm just like, I have so much shit, Karen, and everyone else has like a fanny pack for the weekend. Like, that's it. Like, it was rough. It was rough. And so then also thank you for bearing with me with the story, which yeah, it's just
Oh my God. No, I am riveted. And it's so vivid in my mind. And it's so like a Lindsay Lohan movie. Please continue. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
so okay, so then he comes out, he's very excited for me. He's like, this is gonna be so great. Like I'm like, kind of like holding it in, not crying on the way, but sort of like just being quiet. And I'm like, I'm so fucking nervous. So anyway, so then he brings all of my stuff out. The tent is set up. And then and as I sent up the tent, everyone else is looking at me, like, of course,
Oh,
because like they're like, oh, well, maybe you should move the tent over here. Like, they can't fit the other tents on the campsite because I mean, they can, but like, there isn't a ton of room for everyone else because I have such a big fucking tent, which is embarrassing. So, anyway, the point is that then I go around the back of the car. He's like closing up the trunk, and I look at him and I'm like really struggling not to cry. Like, I'm just like, I am so scared. I don't know anyone here. Like, this is terrifying. Oh my God. And he looks at me with these like wide eyes. Like, he's like, Katie, you're a people person. Like, you're gonna be fine. You're very social. Like, you're gonna be okay. Like, I think he was like genuinely concerned because he was like, I've never seen this side of you, you know? And so, he goes like and he leaves. And then I'm alone. I'm just stranded in the
God.
desert in like a campsite that hardly has any trees. And I like walk over to this picnic table where all of these expert backpackers that I think they're expert, well, it turns out that most of them are, but anyway, I sit down with them and I just throw my hands in there and I'm like, okay, I get the biggest, tent award. And everyone erupts in like laughter to a degree that like I mean, it was a good joke and I did laugh at myself, but like clearly they were thinking the same thing. So
Oh
anyway,
God.
so the rest of the weekend, my tent was dubbed the hotel. So every time I would go to bed, they'd be like, "Are you going back to your hotel?" And I would be like,
Oh my God, Katie.
"Yeah." So anyhow, so yeah, the first night I hardly slept because there was so much wind, and I was like, I hate camping. I'm calling Tyler at 6 a.m. and he's gonna pick me up. Fuck this shit. I hate everyone. Like, this is the worst. Who likes to camp? I thought of you many times, Karen, and like how like we've talked about camping and how I've like insisted that I'm a camper. I don't know. I don't know. The
Mm,
jury's out on that one. And so yeah, so then the next morning I wake up and I had purchased a Coleman stove, which are you familiar with the Coleman stove? I didn't know what it was.
I am because I watch a lot of tiny home YouTube videos.
Exactly. Okay, perfect. So basically it's just two burner stove. You can pick it up. It's very light, put it on a picnic table, boil water, whatever. So I have one of these, the 78-year-old woman who was jacked at REI that she had pointed me to it was a dry egg scramble, which sounds disgusting. But like I was like, fuck it, I need to eat this thing. And so I was making boiled water on my Coleman stove. Meanwhile, every other person around this picnic table is using what's called a jet boil. And
Mm,
a jet boil, oh, you know what that is?
yeah,
Oh, Karen, are you a backpacker?
yeah. I am not. Like I said, I just watch a lot of van life, tiny home, homesteader, off grid videos, and they all have the same shit.
That's
Yes.
amazing. If you would have just dropped the bomb that you've summited Kilimanjaro, I would have been like, makes sense. Like, only people who know that would know what a jet boil is. Whew.
Mm.
Okay, so a jet boil. I'm really impressed actually that you know what that is. But basically it's just this like for those of you listening that don't know, it's basically just a little bowl that has like you heat up like a cup of water and you can make it for coffee or whatever or use it for coffee. It has a teeny tiny propane tank, the end, also for backpackers. Coleman stoves are for coastal elitist bitches that have 6-person tents. And so like this is
Oh no.
wear cashmere to REI. Anyway, and so like I'm making this thing and I pour the dry food into the pot and all of the women around the table are like, "Oh, oh God." And I was like, "Wait, what did I do it wrong?" And they're like, "No, that probably will work." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And they're like, "No, so what you actually do," because of course I didn't read the directions. Who does? Apparently I should have. Anyway, you're supposed to pour the water into the actual like plastic container, the boiling water into the container, and then ziplock it, and then it just cooks in the actual like packet that it came in.
Hmm.
That is not intuitive to me.
No. Well, of course not. And you cooked it like you'd cook ramen or you'd cook like
Yeah.
any kind of packaged food. You boil the water and you dump it in.
Yes, exactly.
Mm.
So it still turned out fine, but I felt ridiculous. And so the rest of the day was actually okay. But the whole time, like the next day, I climbed this one rock face, and halfway up, I had a full on hyperventilation attack, and I was like absolutely terrified. And it wasn't even that I was terrified that I was gonna like fall off the cliff and die. Truly, like I knew that everything was safe in that way. I couldn't even articulate what was so scary about it. And one of the guides came up and like met me halfway, and they helped me do like box breathing and grounding, and like I didn't cry, but then I like got to the top, and then I got to the bottom, and then when I got to the bottom, when I knew I was safe, I lost it. And it wasn't like a scene, but it was between myself and the guide, and I was like, I just had a hysterectomy and I don't even know, like I can't even believe I'm doing this. Like this is so overwhelming. It was a lot. Anyway, and so the cool thing is that at the end, when I came home, I felt like, and I feel like it now even, there's like this empowerment juice that feels like it's like infused into my bloodstream. And I'm like, fuck
Yeah.
yeah, fuck yeah. Like it's like, I did it. And so, and now I want to do more climbing, but only with really, really safe people that like know exactly what they're doing. And so it's probably going to be too expensive right now, but whatever. It's like, anyway, the point is that I was surprised by what I was really afraid of. And I guess that's what I was wanting to talk about today, because I feel like fear can be manifested in all kinds of situations.
Oh my God. I low key have chills about this idea of like being so afraid, like physically in your body, in your mind, like
Yeah.
fully saturated with fear and coming out the other fucking side of it. Dehydrated eggs and all. Like, fuck it.
Yes.
You just did it. I mean, at any point, honestly, minus the halfway up the rock, you could have tapped out.
I really thought about it for real. And I also think that there's beauty in tapping out. I think it's okay. Like I don't think there it would have been like failure to tap out. Like I think it's just, and I don't think, I don't know. I don't want to say like I don't think I'm like better because I kept going, but like it is this like reprogramming of like some sort of neurotransmitter in my brain that like I can do something different. Like I feel like I'm very much starting over after my surgery, and like I think I have to just acknowledge that that's where I'm at. And like I like that surgery knocked me down like to a level that I very rarely admit, and like I just think it's like okay, like I think that a year ago I wouldn't have I mean, yeah, I probably would have been like, oh, this is kind of embarrassing that I have this huge tent, like who cares? But it's like I wouldn't have cried about it. Like I wouldn't have been like overwhelmingly terrified. Yeah. So thanks for listening, Karen. That was a lot.
Thank you for sharing, Katie. Honestly, it is really hard to be very vulnerable about things. I mean, I feel like how many of us purposely put ourselves in the situations we're scared about as adults?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
do you know what I mean? Like, there are things you have to do that we're all scared about, but like you chose this.
Yeah, volunteer. Yeah, volunteer. That's a word. I voluntarily did this. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, ostensibly for fun.
Right, totally. And I did have fun most of the
Mm.
time. There were times that I wasn't having fun, but it's interesting that you say that, because like putting ourselves in positions where we're actually scared, like you don't need to. Most adults don't have to. And like I love what you just said about unless you and if you really have to do something, like you're gonna do it. Like it's but in some ways, at least in my experience, like if I have to do something, the fear, it's like, okay, well, that's kind of secondary. Like I just have to do it. I can't think of something right now. I mean, frankly, if I go back to my surgery, like I had to do
Yes.
that. And so like I was terrified, but it was also like, okay, this is actually gonna make my life better, so I'm just gonna do it. It wasn't like I feel like doing this for fun. Like, yay, like this is and it doesn't always turn out great, even if you are scared of it.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking about like, I am the same way about like, ooh, going to the gynecologist. I don't love the dentist. The gynecologist is definitely the worst for me. I've been putting off certain lady parts exams for a long time. I probably
Yeah.
shouldn't admit that, but I have. And so yeah, there's fear there. It's like inconvenience, but it's also fear. Those are things that, like you said, we have to do, but you chose to do something that scared you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was just, but I think it was kind of fun. Like, it was kind of
Yeah.
a thrill, and I'm not an adrenaline seeker at all. And so, like, I don't know. I encourage others, like, if you have something that you're like, that sounds interesting, but I would never do it. Would you? Wouldn't you? Maybe think about it.
It's interesting. It's interesting too, because I feel like it's such a, like your description of being halfway up that rock. I am petrified of heights.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, no. Like I don't I have had to force myself to get over being afraid to drive over bridges again. Like I am not, yeah, like
Got
I'm
it.
like living where you live in the Pacific Northwest that's so mountainous and has passes and all this shit, like I could never do it.
Yeah.
So like that description of being halfway up the rock, like I for my where my head goes, either like you're like fully in your body, like fully embodying your body, or completely dissociating. I feel like I would be like either end of that spectrum, but not just like grounded and centered. And oh, here I am. Like I'm either in it or I'm like, I don't even know what happened. I don't even remember.
That's interesting about the dissociation, because I feel like that was definitely something that I felt somewhat. I was like, this doesn't seem, I mean, I thankfully am not super afraid of heights, but still I'm like, it doesn't feel natural to be like, I don't know. I don't know how high it was, 50 feet, 75 feet off the ground or more than that. Like and then, because you don't really look down as much as you like look at the next thing that you're supposed to hold on to. And it like, but at the same time, like you have the knowledge that like, if I fell, yeah, that would be a bummer. Like, as in, most likely would be death. So yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Are you like hooked to guides? Like, are you
Oh yeah, like
okay? Okay.
it's like almost honestly, it's almost foolproof. Like, first off, there are guides that are like super like certified by like some sort of national mountaineering organization, and this is like that's not super common. It was like that's why I picked this organization. They're like known to be like super legit in that way. And then there's someone down at the bottom of the rock, like on the ground, that's belaying me, which basically means that they have a rope hooked to them. And then that rope is hooked to me, and that rope is hooked to the top. And then the rope that's hooked to them, it actually has like a mechanical device that's not motorized, but it will clamp down. So even if that person, I mean, heaven forbid, like if they like passed out or something, I still would not fall on the ground. It's like
I see.
actually there's like regulation around this, like so that people, the only thing that would truly like if I like somehow unclipped myself, like I mean that would be like a suicide mission, but like I don't even know how I would do that. Like it would actually be very complicated for me to get to the point where I would actually be in like mortal danger. So yeah, it really, but even all of those things, like all of those checks, you still think like this isn't natural. Like I'm just dangling from a cliff.
Totally. Oh my God. You know, so there is an overused word that comes to mind that is reframing for me your experience of fear, which is that how brave this was,
Hmm.
how courageous this was for you to fucking do it.
I like brave. That's nice.
Right? It is. It's really, that was brave. Like, you didn't have to do it. You were afraid. You could have looked at the 78-year-old jacked lady at RAI and been like, you know what, Florence, you're right. I'm
Oh,
not
her
cut out
name
for
was
this.
definitely Florence. Flo for short, but yes, Florence. She
Like,
prefers.
I just, I would rather have the $80 one, to be honest with you. But really, I'd rather spend the $80 on shoes. I'm out.
Yeah,
Like,
totally. Fuck this. Fuck your dehydrated eggs.
Oh my God. I'd rather spend that money at brunch. Oh my, real eggs and mimosas. The fuck?
Totally. Oh my gosh. Please pass the Bellini. Yes. I mean,
Yes.
for real.
Yes. It was very brave.
Thanks, Karen. It's interesting that you say that because I think that that might even be a better name for this podcast episode is like bravery. Because, okay, so beyond though my experience on the rock climbing thing, I think that there are things that we all do all the time that are actually super, super brave that we don't give ourselves credit for. Don't you think?
Yes. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, entering a relationship, friendship, like coworker relationship, romantic relationship, highest stakes is super brave, don't you think?
Yes. If you're doing it the right way.
Mm,
Like, I think there are ways to do it that are like a kind of a cop out, not to be like that. But yes, I do think we do brave, or as Glennon Doyle would say, hard things all the time.
it's true. What's the
And
wrong way?
in relationships, I feel like just falling back on patterns that you know are unhealthy.
Ah,
Like it's comfortable. I know it's like somewhere back in my subconscious knows that this is wrong, knows that this instinct to this person is linked to some trauma that is not good for me, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's comfortable and familiar and feels good in the short term, but in the long term is going to be a shit show.
yeah. I mean, that's a mic drop right there. That right there is a TED talk because like but for real though, it's so much easier to do those things than it is to be like, "Oh, I'm going to work on myself and try to do the next thing" because it's there's no guarantee of what that's going to turn into or yeah,
It's very true. We do brave things all the time.
we do. I mean, I think about like how you and MLB went on your like what was that? Like that free day that you went on the bike ride with the like awning over it and you almost hit a bunch of geese. That was brave.
You know, thank you for saying that. I will say, when I started Rebellious a million years ago, people used to would describe me as being fearless. And what I used to say at the time is that there are only a couple letters between fearless and reckless. Like,
Ooh.
so is it fearless or is it reckless? I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. I didn't
Oh
hit
my
anything.
gosh. I'm so glad that you brought up Rebellious because you are the epitome of what bravery is, Karen. I mean, you have been running an independent magazine focused on incredibly vital issues that are not being covered for 11 years now. Is that right?
11, give or take. I mean, I had some time off there in the middle, but we've been running continuously since. So I launched in 2012. We were up and running for a year and a half, took a disco nap in the middle, but I've been back since March of 2016.
That's incredible, Karen.
Thank you for
I
saying that.
I mean, really though, it's so incredible. And like you have launched the careers of like countless people. Like you have brought so much love and light and inclusion and just like so much goodness to the world. Like that's incredible by your bravery. Like can you talk like if you want to talk about this, we could always cut this obviously. But like can you talk about like the moment that you like were you scared? Like were you scared to do this?
Oh, yeah, I was terrified. I mean, and I still am terrified. I really don't know week to week, day to day, how we're going to do this. I will say, as a quick plug, ooh, what's the address? So if you are listening to this thinking, yes, that is really brave, I would love to throw some money at Rebellious. Now is the time
Yes.
because the Chicago Independent Media Alliance fundraiser is happening right now. It is June 5th through June 19th. Ooh, the email address. Oh, what's the web address? Oh, shit. This is bad that I don't know. I think it's indiemediashy.org.
I mean, this is awesome. Whatever it is, I'll put it in the show notes along with the 19th article. And
Thank you.
then, friends, just go back into your podcast app situation and then you'll see it.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Thank you for that. So it's a way to not just support Rebellious. There are 47 of us, I believe, in this year's fundraiser. We're in, I think, 6 different languages all over the city of Chicago. It's really an amazing organization of, like I said, independent media. But to your question, yes, I was terrified. And for so many reasons related to identity, like we've talked about, like I was an AP reporter at the time and I left to go into consulting and to launch Rebellious. And it was like, who am I if I'm not an AP reporter? How am I going to do this? How am I going to reach people? And I think none of that has really gotten easier. I feel like I just have gotten a thicker skin about the uncertainty of it and realizing that I care more about what 3 people who really love a story care about than some jackass boss I may have had who has an opinion about what we're doing, right? Or people for whom I did not build this who have opinions. Like, this isn't for you. Keep it moving, man. I don't really care what you think. And you have no idea how difficult this is and the challenges that we face. And, how few Black women, particularly queer Black women, who own magazines in this country. Are you kidding me? I'm one of like, I don't know how many. I don't even know how many of us there are. So thank you for saying all of that. Every day feels like a gift. And I feel like I pushed through fear, but it also felt like something I had to do. It wasn't, I just felt like I didn't have an option. Like, I have to do this. I have to try.
Wow. That's amazing. That is so amazing. And what you said about like how it was scary and that hasn't changed, but you've gotten more used to the like I don't remember the exact word that you did not say instability, but I can't remember what like the variability of it. It makes me think that like doing like engaging in a courageous act like that actually changes you in a way that like makes you want to continue to do courageous things.
Hmm.
Do you think?
Yes, I very much think that's true.
Because like
Yes.
your sensitivity to it might
Hmm.
still be very high, but at the same time like courage begets courage, it kind of feels like. Does
Ooh.
that make sense? Or is that I don't
Yes.
want to like put those words in your mouth if that doesn't make sense, but
No, I really like that. I do really think that's true. I definitely have taken risks in my career and other parts of my life, probably based on, yes, exposure therapy of like that experience and quitting my high paying full time job to try to do Rebellious full time and like the financial impact of that has lingered in my life. And yeah, just realizing like, okay, well, that wasn't the end of the world. That sucked. It continues to suck. Someday I will talk frankly about like all of the mistakes I've made financially, but I feel like I got through it. I realized like, oh, that sucked. Here are the things about it I anticipated being shitty, and they have been. Here are the things I could never have known have been shitty. But here I am, still in journalism, still doing this work, still running Rebellious, still working full time for other people and enjoying that. So yeah, I do think there is something, courage does beget courage. And I do think there is something to like your exposure therapy of the like, you did this weekend and now you know, and now you have muscle memory around all of these things and you learned all these things. And now you can go to the next thing.
exactly. It's like so amazing that it's like it doesn't I don't want to say it doesn't kill you. That's like not the right term, but it's like it's amazing when you do the thing and then you realize, "Oh, I'm still here."
Yes.
It's like I think there's so much to be said for like knowing that you want to do the thing and then saying like, "You know what? I'm just not going to do that for whatever reason makes sense to you." But like then also realizing like maybe try it. Like, like what if you just did it? Like I was talking to a few friends about this rock climbing weekend a few weeks ago and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go. I really genuinely thought I was going to cancel. And my friend Elizabeth, she sent me an audio message that day and she was like, "Hey, whatever you decide, that's great." She's like, "I just want to let you know that I had a situation recently where a friend invited me to a weekend away and I felt really overwhelmed and I didn't know anyone and I was nervous and I decided not to go." And she was like, "It was a 2-day thing and after the first day, I really was bummed that I didn't try." And it was just it's like exactly what you just said, to try. And it's like, I mean, I don't like to say what's the worst that can happen, but it's like just just try. Like, you never know what's on the other side, and it could be something really beautiful.
That's exactly right. And I feel like we listen to these voices in our head that are like, what if all of these terrible things happen? And we don't listen. We don't try to reframe that voice, or we don't shut down that voice with, what if it's awesome?
Yeah.
What if this amazing thing happens? What if this great thing happens? What if we have an amazing time? And it's so easy to listen to like the Eeyore without listening to maybe the Pooh.
Yeah. Listen to the Pooh. Listen to Winnie the Pooh.
He's having
Yes.
honey. He's living his best life. He doesn't have to wear pants.
Right. Not wearing pants. That is winning right there. Wait, does Piglet have pants? I don't remember.
I don't know that any of them are wearing pants.
Yeah. I think Tigger's naked, but it's like he has stripes, so it doesn't really, you can't really tell.
Oh my God.
Yeah. This went in a different direction, but like,
so I have to tell you, all right, so keep catching a sight of my hair. It's a mess. So I asked if you were on Instagram.
oh yeah.
Because if you were not on Instagram, then you don't know that I did a brave thing this weekend.
Oh my gosh, tell me. And
Wait,
no,
you
I'm not
can't
on
see it.
Instagram.
You
Also,
can't really see it.
Karen. Oh my God. Holy shit. That is so okay. I'm not going to say what
Can't
it
really
is. Go ahead.
You can't really see it. So I've been wanting / afraid to get a tattoo for years.
Karen.
I'm afraid of needles. I don't understand pain on purpose. I never knew what I was going to get. I always felt this weird pressure to like get the perfect thing.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was taking a walk around my neighborhood last week, and there's a tattoo shop right down the street from me in my like little up and coming hipster neighborhood in Indianapolis. And I looked up the tattoo shop, and it's owned by this young Black man. And I was like, what?
Amazing.
Right. Big Lou's tattoo. And that was last Thursday. And then over the weekend, MLB and I decided to drop by there. And it was really funny because we got there and the door was locked. So I called the number on his Instagram and I was like, are you guys open today? He was like, are you at my shop? And I was like, yes, I am. Because it says walk-ins welcome. That was the other thing.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I've always thought about getting a tattoo, and I follow all these artists on Instagram, and it's always like, my books for November are open. Like, okay, I don't.
Yeah, totally.
Right. Oh, come to this flash day. Well, you'll get the same flower I'm putting on 100 other people. Right. Like,
wow, we probably follow a lot of the same people because that is, I'm like, I can't wait to, oh no, I'm going to book in 2027. Cool. Like, that's great.
Right. Like, sign up for my newsletter to find out the dates where I'm taking. And it was just, I don't have that kind of mind.
It's a lot.
So like I said, I call him and he was like, I'm almost there. And he had like this insane day. He'd had a like flat tire and it had taken him like 6 hours to fix this thing. And he just happened to be getting back to the shop when we were there. And he had to turn all these people away for the day. So there was no one else at the shop.
Oh,
so I go in and his work is really intricate and beautiful. I will send you a picture of this.
Karen, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Okay, keep going. This is amazing.
I told him I wanted the 4 red stars on the Chicago flag. If you're not familiar with the Chicago flag, it's got a light blue stripe, these 4 6-pointed stars. I keep hitting my microphone. Sorry, everybody. And then a blue stripe underneath. And it's like the one stripe is the Chicago River. One is Lake Michigan. The 4 stars stand for, I don't even remember what, the fire, the World's Fair. Some people say it's the Cubs win. I don't know what the hell they stand for.
Yeah.
I wanted the 4 red stars. And he was like, do you mind if I play around with it a little bit? And so he freehand drew this like beautiful silhouette of the Chicago skyline with my favorite buildings in it. And then the 4 red stars underneath it on my forearm. And I'm obsessed with it. And I just feel like I look at it and I just feel like it's always been there. Like, oh, yeah, of course I've always had this tattoo. And I am now officially addicted. I definitely want more of them. And one thing I didn't anticipate about this was I look at this and I view it as a piece of art. Like, this is wearable art. Like,
yes,
that amazing young man sat down and drew this freehand. And now I get to wear it. And I hadn't thought about tattoos that way for some reason. I feel like I had thought about them in very utilitarian ways. Like for the 4 stars, like it's on every Chicago thing everywhere. Like there's nothing creative about that. And
Huh.
I really have a new appreciation now for the artistry of tattooing and like how cool it is to have a unique piece of art that I get to wear.
Karen, thank you for sharing. It is so
Mm.
beautiful. Oh my gosh. I mean, speaking of Instagram, friends, I'm sorry that we have not been posting on Instagram. And by we, I mean I have not been posting on Instagram for 3 months. So we can probably start that up. It's up back up at some point, but follow you to see the picture. Because did you put on
Yes.
Instagram the picture of your tattoo?
Yes. Oh yeah. So I have MLB shot a video of him peeling off the um, the stencil.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's a photo of him actually doing the tattoo. And then there's a final product photo. Yes, I am Chief Rebel on Instagram. Check it out. I absolutely love it. And I will say this. I feel like it feels like a brave thing to do because see above Ray needles paint on purpose. But I wasn't nervous about it. Strangely enough, I feel like I've
Really?
thought so much about it. Yeah, that I was like, yeah, it might hurt. I don't know. Who cares?
The payoff is so much better than like any concern or anything like that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, Karen, that is incredible. And what a perfect example for this episode. I mean, holy crap. Wow. I mean, so you didn't have any nerves then? Like you were just like, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. And it also just felt like one of those things, where you have these moments where something crystallizes and you're like, okay, this is the right.
Yep.
I have been thinking about this forever. It's been like in my body and in my brain forever. And now is the time. That's how it feels.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. I'm so happy for you. I so loved like the poetry also of like you moving to Indy and then like less than 3 weeks later you have Chicago still with you physically and like I mean obviously it's in your body but also like on your body and a beautiful piece of art. That's incredible. Wow.
Thank you. And
Oh,
I will say, Lou, apparently, LEW is his name, is the youngest tattoo artist in the country to have his own shop.
oh, hello. Wow. And the name of you said it's called Lose?
It's Big Lou's Tattoos.
Okay.
He is a former football player. He's a big dude.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a very cool experience. It was really fun.
That's so fun. And like how wonderful to have MLB there as well. Like they must have known
Totally.
that you were interested in doing something like this as well.
Yes, absolutely. And we like MLB has a lot of ink, has like a lot of really beautiful, really meaningful tattoos. And so, like, yeah, having them there was really important and really helpful.
Awesome. How long did it take?
Well, that's the other thing. Like, it's not a huge tattoo, right? He did this in like 20 minutes.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah. No. Like, once he drew this up into the stencil, he put it on and yeah, no, he was done like super fast.
Oh my gosh. I mean at least over Zoom it looks quite intricate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's really incredible. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Let me
Like I
see.
said, I'll
Oh, it
send you
looks so
pictures.
cool.
Thank
Oh, it looks
you.
so awesome. I'm so excited for you. That spot is the exact spot where I want to have my next tattoo. And was it painful? So, friends, it like inner left forearm, right? That's basically.
Yes. It really was not. There were a couple spots. So I do have the red stars. They are filled in. There were a couple of points where I was just like, really, are we going to fill in the whole thing? It's just maybe a red dot in the middle would be fine.
Totally. It's also though so great though because when they pick up the needle, it doesn't have there's no pain. It's not like it's
Yeah.
lingering. At least not for me that it hasn't been lingering.
Yeah.
So,
I was shocked by how little it's a weird sensation, but it's not. And there were moments, like I said, where it was painful, but it wasn't like this excruciating experience. I do think that is the perfect place to get a first one. I know there are places on the body that are excruciatingly painful and
yes.
avoid those.
Yeah, totally. Totally. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I have a close friend who listens to this pod and hello. She knows I'm going to talk about her because she left San Francisco briefly, and it was a hard time for her, but she ended up getting a tattoo of the San Francisco skyline on her forearm, and it looks amazing. I'm pretty sure it's of the skyline. And yeah, it's just it's nice that like yeah, it's like those places are part of you, of course.
Yes. And I feel like it also, strangely for me, those of you who know me know I lived in downtown Chicago for 5.5 years. I did not enjoy it. It did not enjoy me. And this tattoo of the skyline of downtown Chicago helped reconnect me, strangely enough, with my childhood memories of downtown. Like
Ooh.
when I was a little kid, when my mom worked late, instead of taking the train home back to our house on the south side of Chicago, my dad would drive downtown to pick her up, and sometimes I got to go. And I had this deep sense of wonder and like love for being downtown and looking up at the buildings and picking my mom up at this building downtown, right? It was just the coolest thing to me. And living downtown and hating it really kind of like shook that for me.
Yeah.
And so like this piece of art was just like, oh right, I have this like, also like in there are my memories of hating it, but also in there is that like little kid that like loved it. So
So
yeah.
beautiful to like bring that back, to like harken
Mhm.
back to those like core memories. That's so
Yes.
gorgeous. And also like things are both and, like things like life is complex. And so it's like that's just beautiful for like you to feel that connection back to like that's so cool that you were like did you get to walk around downtown when you would pick up your mom from work?
No, I feel like we just would stop and she'd get in. I feel like though we did go downtown rarely, I feel like for things like I can't think of any right now, of course. It was a long time ago. But yeah, we did get to go downtown sometimes for free stuff.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Just like that's awesome. Wow. Okay, that is such a perfect example for this episode though, and thanks for sharing. And that makes me want to get back on Instagram because I want to see that video. Yeah, I'm like trying. My relationship with social media is we're we're off right now. We're not friends at the moment, but at some point, maybe someday, we'll see.
I think it's good to take breaks.
It is good to take breaks. I think the thing is I have such a hard time with social media where it's like I'm only wanting to like post things that are happy and like I that's just not real life, but then it's also like, well, maybe that's my own, photo slideshow. I don't know. Yeah.
It's also, I know we've talked about this. It's also just this like surreal, like not, it's the surreal experience that does not mimic real life in any way because it's like, yes, it's your gorgeous rock climbing photos, a post about transgenocide, a post about someone being killed by their neighbor, someone's birthday party, a cake recipe, a cat video, like all in the same place. It's like just so jarring. And even if you even if you had a perfectly curated account where you only had the things you wanted to see, Instagram decides what you see.
Yes. Thank you for saying it like that. Like to list things off because that's
Yeah.
exactly how I feel when I scroll Instagram. Like
Mm,
I have a hard time protecting my mental health when
yes.
I'm not prepared to see like I want to know what's happening in the world. Of course, I'm not trying to bury my head in the sand, but at the same time, like I need to be ready for that. Like there's and I think that like burst of like imagery, if I'm not interested in seeing the thing that's being blasted at me, it really affects my mood. It affects my mental health. It really whew, yeah.
I think a lot of people have that experience. And
Really?
yeah, it really is this totally unnatural phenomenon. And I feel like as I think about, like you're saying, reading the news, like you and I grew up reading newspapers.
Yeah,
You open the metro section, you can expect you're going to see bad news.
of
The world
course.
section, you're going to see bad news. You turn to the feature section, you turn to music, then you know what to expect. But there is none of that on Instagram. Like you're not reading sections. It is all just coming at you
Yes.
all at one time.
Right, there are no boundaries around like consumption. And Yeah, and you're right about that. Like to do like a Finstagram, like a fake Instagram, you had taught me about that. And it's like, even that, I know that Instagram will send me shit. And it's like, did you read the New York Times today? Did you read the scariest story in the New York Times today? It's like, yeah, it's tough.
I guess I should try it. I should try it.
I
I
should try
I
it too.
used to, right? Like my cats have a now dormant Instagram account, and I feel like all I saw was cat stuff.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I had no idea that you had a catstagram. I don't know if that's a thing. I'm sure it is.
Oh, it's definitely a hashtag. Catstagram. Yes. Cats of Instagram. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Also, okay, before we go, I do want to ask you, how are the kitties doing in the new spot?
Oh. Oh no, 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 no. The cats, I don't want to say they're living their best lives. I will just say that they have settled in a way that MLB and I have not.
Really? Oh,
Oh,
this
yeah.
makes me so happy for them. I'm not as happy for you if you haven't settled in, but like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I thought it would be really hard for them to be like, wait, mom, where are we?
It's really strange. The last time, I mean, I've moved these cats now 3 times. And the last 2 times, poor little Hyacinth, Haya, who's like the friendliest, sweetest cat in the world, has found something to hide under, like squished her little body under something. Hala, the
Oh,
little black cat I know, squished herself behind the dryer in our last place. Like they have not done anything like that. Like,
oh.
oh yeah, no. They both have their spots scoped out, much to MLB's chagrin. Haya has claimed a chair on the sofa, like a seat on the sofa.
As they do. Amazing.
Hala has, one of my chairs that I don't know if you ever saw my pink chairs, my Pepto Bismol pink chairs in the
Those are
background.
adorable. Yes.
Hala has her same chair with her same heating pad on it right by the door. And yeah, no, that is where they are 95% of the time.
Wow. I'm so happy for them. That's amazing. I wonder if they also are just like calm because the two of you are together and like you have a big space and like there's probably just good energy there.
I mean, they also, thank you for saying that. We also accidentally locked them out of the bathroom where their litter boxes were. And that was a whole,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
no. Mm-hmm. No, cats are going to do what they're going to do.
Yep.
Just imagine if you didn't have a bathroom, what you'd do. And that's what they did. So that has
Yeah.
been a rocky. Good. Yeah, that was rocky. But yes, thank you. I would like to think that they sense our happiness about being together and like being able to like not be back and forth and all of that.
Totally. Absolutely. Were they ever going back and forth to the different houses or
Oh
okay.
no, no.
No. Okay, good.
Um no, but yeah, they had a cat sitter, Mallory, who loved them.
Oh.
I know in
Oh.
Chicago.
Yeah. But having a huge, amazing playpen for them, like this is like the ultimate cat. What is it? Cat condo? What do you call them? I've never had a cat. But you know, like those things that cats can like crawl on. I mean, now you have a 2-story cat condo. Like that's amazing.
It's very true.
That's awesome. I'm so glad. Okay, this has been so much fun, Karen, and I'm happy that we did a
Oh,
full podcast. Like this is so nice to like as much as I love mini pods, life was not lifing as hard this week. So hell yeah, we took advantage. Success. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We will see you again next week.